Welcome back, dear students of Shet Vidya Mandir English High School and Junior College. Students, today we shall be doing the remaining part of the poem Somebody's Mother by poetess Mary D'O'Brien. So let's get started. Moving to the seventh stanza. She's somebody's mother, boys, for all she's aged and poor and slow. And I hope some fellow will lend a hand to help my mother, you understand? If ever she's poor and old and grey, when her own dear boy is far away. What exactly is happening over here is she's somebody's mother. The boy comes in the crowd to his friends, happy friends, and he says she's somebody's mother, boys, She's somebody's mother. For all she's aged and poor and slow. She's very poor and she's very slow now because she's become aged. And I hope some fellow will lend a hand, somebody will lend a hand to help my mother, you understand? Someday, if I help, today I've helped this lady, some young boy some other day will help my mother when I'm not with my mother. If ever she's poor and old and grey, when her own dear boy is far away. When I am far away, maybe someday someone somewhere will help my mother too. That is the hope he's keeping. Because it's always life is full of circles, students. Life is a round circle where you go to a certain point and you come back to the same point again. So today you are at a point and the same point you will come back after some years and you'll face the same things what you've seen with your parents coming to you again. So it's all about giving good deeds or doing good deeds. When you do good deeds, you get good in return. So what happened exactly in the seventh stanza? The boy told his friends that she was somebody's mother and she is very old, poor and slow. He says that one time would come even when his own mother would become old and helpless and he would not be there to help her. But he was sure that someone would definitely be there to help his old mother like he did for this woman. So lend a hand means you're helping in a difficult time, lending a hand. So what we see in the last stanza, the eighth stanza, what do we see? Somebody's mother bowed low her head in her home that night, and the prayer she said was, God be kind to the noble boy who is somebody's son and pride and joy. So that night she went home and she prayed to God that somebody's mother is who, that lady who was being helped over here. She bowed her low head. Bowed low her head is what? Sad to pray. When you pray to God, you bow your head, right? So that way she sat before her God to pray. And what prayer was she doing that night? God be kind to that noble boy, to that very sweet natured boy who is somebody's son. He is first of all son. He is the pride of that house and he is also the joy of that house. So here the entire sentence shows a climax. That's in every step it shows a son. He's first of all a son. He's a pride for the family and he's also a joy or a happy person for that family. So pride is a proud feeling. So when you have such helpful people around you, naturally get the habits of being helpful. So she's praying to God that God bless that boy. When you have seen, if you help your elderly people, they say, God, they tell you, God bless you. They give you blessings. So without you asking, they give you blessings, right? That they want to shower their blessings, saying that you always be a good, helpful child for everyone. So what do we see in the last stanza? That somebody's mother means the old woman who was helped must have gone home and sat to pray that night. In that prayer, she asked God with proud feelings and happiness that he should show the same kindness to the helpful boy who was somebody's son and pride and joy. So I hope the poem is clear to you. An entire poem of 8 stanzas. It's a wonderful poem and a heart-touching poem. Now let's move to the figures of speech, students. Since the poem is such a poetic and such a loving poem that there are too many figures of speech which we need to highlight. So let's go. First one is synecdoche. It's a figure of speech in which a part of something is used to represent the whole, or it may use a whole to represent a part. Now when I say part of a whole, a small word which highlights the entire part of it. So similarly, vice versa, a whole part can symbolize a small part of it. So like in the sentence I'll show you over here, the examples. Unheeding the glance of her anxious eyes. Now eyes is a part of her entire body. He guided the trembling feet along. Trembling feet is the part of that woman. So the whole part में से small part is given. His young heart happy and well content. Again, heart is symbolizing synecdoche. That's because it's a part of the whole body of that woman. So I hope the synecdoche figure of speech is clear to you. It's a part of the whole, or the whole from the whole, a part of it. The next figure of speech is tautology, which we already said in the poem. If two or more words in the same line convey the same meaning, the figure of speech in that line is called tautology. That's in the line, she placed and so without any hurt or harm. The words hurt and harm convey similar meaning. The next figure of speech we see is transferred epithet. What's a transferred epithet? It's just a partner or just an opposite reflection of personification. Personification is human feelings, human qualities. Now here we will see human feelings. An epithet is a word or phrase which describes the main quality of someone or something. So there we saw is human feeling, human qualities. Now here we'll see something like a human feeling. Transfer epithet is when this adjective is transferred to a different noun. An adjective, a quality, is transferred to a noun. On hearing the glance of anxious eyes, anxious. Can the eyes be very anxious? It's only we human beings have the quality of being anxious, worried, afraid, fearful. So here, transfer epithet because your eyes are given human feelings to be anxious. It's a feeling, right? You're worried, you're fearful. These are the feelings which eyes cannot have but human beings can have. So it's a transferred epithet. To the next figure of speech we go, that is simile. A simile is a figure of speech that directly compares two things. It highlights the similarities between two things using words such as like and as. Came happy boys like a flock of sheep. The direct comparison made between the boys and the sheep. Next figure of speech we also see here is antithesis. In antithesis, a striking opposition of words or sentiment, that's a feeling or a thinking, is made in the same sentence. An idea is expressed but in an opposite way. In a sentence, you'll find two words which have opposite ideas to express in that sentence. Like in the sentence from the poem, her aged hand on a strong young arm. Her aged hand, aged is old, on a strong young arm. So old and young are two different ideas. So antitheses are the words aged and young convey opposite meaning. Moving to the next figure of speech, climax. We also see in the last line of the poem, climax. What's a climax? Climax is a figure of speech in which successive words, phrases, clauses or sentences are arranged in ascending order. In a ascending order, from small to big it goes. That's called as a climax. Who is somebody's son and pride and joy? Your climax because the words are arranged in the ascending order of their importance. That is son, pride and joy. First of all, he is the son of the family. He is then a pride, that's a proud feeling, and lastly he is the happiness in that family. Our next figure of speech we see is inversion. It is a literary technique in which the normal order of the words is reversed, like they are in a jumbled order. Generally for emphasis or special effects, it makes a sentence sound striking or unusual. So when you're reading the sentence, you realize the sentence is not in a proper order. At the crowded crossing, she waited long. Now here it's inversion because the correct order of the prose is she waited long at the crowded crossing. Similarly, other sentence what we have is hasten the children on their way. So how can you have the correct one? The children on their way were hastened. Then back again to his friends he went. He then went back to his friends. So similarly, you might find one or two more which I have not added up over here, which you need to find out accordingly. Also students, we have one more figure of speech of interrogation in the poem. If you see carefully, even that is your figure of speech, which we have already done in your earlier poems. Since the poem is beautifully presented, so let's have a quick glance at the phrase of the poem, paraphrase of the poem. Somebody's Mother by Mary D'O'Brien is a beautiful poem depicting wonderful values of care and love for others. The old woman wearing rag clothes was standing at a crossing to go to the other side of the road. She was waiting for the traffic to stop so that she would safely go to the other side. She kept waiting, but the traffic did not stop. No passerby paid heed to her need and concern. After some time, a group of boys came out of the school. They were happy and noisy, playing with the newly fallen snow, they moved past the old woman standing at the crossing. No boy offered to help her go across the road. However, one boy noticed her and went to help her. He lovingly helped her cross the road. As he went back to his friend, he said he helped that old lady, thinking someday someone would help her old mother, his old mother, in a similar situation when he might be far away from her. The boy felt very contented, that's very satisfied. After helping the old woman that night prayed to God to be kind to the boy who helped her cross the road. Now we move to the important part, that is the appreciation. The poem Somebody's Mother is written by the famous poetess Mary D'O'Brien. The poetess is speaking about an old woman who needed help to cross the road, but nobody bothers to help her. Finally, one boy from the crowd helps the woman in crossing the road. He was happy about helping the woman and told about it to his friends, saying that the old woman is somebody's mother and someday his mother too shall need help. The poetess has used many figures of speech such as alliteration, repetition, simile, inversion, tautology, etc. But the line, her aged hand on his strong young arm, is an antithesis where the words aged and young convey opposite meaning. The poem contains 8 stanzas. The rhyme scheme of these stanzas is A-A-B-B. Except for stanzas 3, 6 and 7, the rhyme scheme is A-A-B-B-C-C. So finally, what moral values we learn from this poem? What are the values we learn? That's the importance of compassion, that's love, and how each stranger is important in someone's life. Secondly, what we learn is we should help others who are in need so that even our loved ones are helped by others. And lastly, we always should remember one thing is sharing is caring. So time for some assessment, students. Now finally, study the following sets of words. Here the sets of A and set of B words are there. What hierarchical order they are following, you have to observe it. First is pleased, to be contented, to be satisfied, then happy, then joyful, then is aesthetic. Similarly, in the next slot you can see a letter. From a letter you make a word, from a word you make a sentence, and from a sentence you make a paragraph. So in short, what are you supposed to do is the words in these sets are arranged in ascending order, each word showing a higher degree than the previous one. So now rearrange the following group of words in the ascending order. So first one I'll do for you: adult, aged, infant and youth. How is the proper order? First you are an infant, then you become a youth, then you become an adult, and finally you are aged. For the next example, you have cold, freezing, cool and chill. Firstly you feel cool, then it's cold, then it's chill, and finally it's freezing. So similarly the other two you have to solve by yourself. Now prepare similar word chains using the following ideas. The next question is on word chain. You have to prepare a word chain using the relative words. Like for the first one you have rain. When it's rain, it's drizzling. It is also showering, shower, downpour. Okay. For the next word is wind. When it's wind, you find it's breezing, it's breezy, it's windy, it's stormy. These are the words you can use, and so on. So you have to prepare a set of words related to the words given: rain, wind, sunshine. So you can either use a dictionary to refer these certain different words related to the particular word given. Moving to the next question, pick out lines from the poem that help create images of the following in our mind and write them in the table. Like the characters given here is the old man, the old woman, the street, and the schoolboys. So you have to picturize what came to your mind when from the lines from the poem which bring about certain ideas in your mind. Like you can see over here, the first one is old woman. Now when for the old woman, what comes out, she was old and ragged and grey. So the old woman was old and ragged and grey. For the street, what you can say to the streets were white with a recent snow, and the schoolboys were, what did we see about the schoolboys? Down the street with laughter and shout. So first slot we got 3 points. Again in the second slot, again what did we see in the old women? So accordingly, what picturizing image you can see on the street, the group of boys and the old women's reaction has to be filled in the table. Write at least 5 rhymes from the poem. Rhymes means rhyming words. The entire poem is beautifully rhyming. You have to just pick out 5 rhyming words. Like for example, grey and day, snow slow, long throng, I, by, shout out, etc. The last one is an activity for you. Think and write about in 5 to 6 lines why most of the people on the road or street ignore those in need and help. What about you? Write your feelings after you have helped or not helped when needed. Why people on the road are ignored or not being given help? So you've tried what about you? What you would have done? What are your feelings after you helped or not helped? Now naturally you help someone or the other some day of your some part of your time. So naturally you have to give a positive response to this question. So you are going to share your feelings that when you help someone, what was their reaction. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson and had a good time learning it. Thank you.